Hi, it's been a while since I made a video, so I thought I would show you guys what I've been working on. Got everything dug out. Got my pile of rocks there growing. Hey puppies! Look at all that space. Look at all that space. Rob was right. Rob was right. Come here, Cuddles. Yeah, I've been digging also. Check this out. Making progress. I got this brush pile in the way. I gotta keep cutting down to smaller pieces, but it's gonna go all the way across, getting cut out there. I don't know if you can tell, I already jumped it back a bunch. But yeah, check it out. Look at all this space. Pretty cool. Yeah. So I've been dealing with the county. I figured I'd talk about a couple things today. If you haven't watched my channel, you know, it's not just about building, it's really about my life and things I like to discuss. And there's a couple things I want to talk about. The county and rules for me and not for thee. Yeah, as you know, I had some neighbors cause some problems. And in America, you have a right to know your accuser, so it's very quick to find out who's calling and creating problems. And in this particular instance, they create problems for me with code enforcement, while at the same time, like my problems with code enforcement will cost $1,000, maybe $2. But their problems with code enforcement are going to cost about 20 to 30, maybe even more. And don't throw stones in glass houses. I tried being nice, you know. I didn't do anything the first time. I figured give it a slide, don't matter. But knowingly spreading lies about me and then calling the second time, you know, I can do the same. So, and not just that, but the everything. I got land next to me owned by the county. The county's going to be spending 10, 15 plus grand to do fire abatement on their multiple plots on this street. What could have been an easy coexistence and positive relationship has turned into a rather antagonistic one. I've been dealing with the county. In writing, I have stuff individuals have told me in contradiction in my different emails. I have people where I ask them stuff, they're either idiots or they're lying, like disingenuous. It's hard to tell which. I'm from Boston, so I assume when people say crazy lies and dumb stuff that they are a scammer, because the East Coast, New York, Boston, there are a lot of scammers around. So that's always been my kind of first assumption. But now I'm thinking they actually just might be like actually incompetent. I'm not really too sure. That's kind of the way things are with government though, right? You're never sure if they're like, are they idiots on purpose? But yeah, things are working out. I am getting to the point where I'm going to start gathering wood, and I think I'll be done with my cabin probably within a month once I start getting logs. Another day or two, I'll have this all cleared out. It's pretty cool. And then I'll have a nice little spot for my cabin. Nice little spot for like a front yard, you know? Oh, I put greenhouse plastic over my tent to deal with the cut Jack made. And that made it a lot warmer. Oh man, what a difference. They're chasing lizards. Lizard chaser. Flutie. Flutie booty. Let me see that face, Flutie. You got dirt all over your face, Flutie. Yeah, they're good puppies. The other thing I really want to talk about was Top Gear. You guys never seen Top Gear with Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, all those guys? It was a great show. They talk about cars, but they also go on adventures. It was always one of my favorite shows. I loved it. And it was kind of an inspiration for me to do this. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Car Trek, but Car Trek is like a cheap knockoff version with guys on YouTube. And they're overly cheesy. They're not nearly as good as Top Gear. But the idea is there. And yeah, I was like, man, that's my dream job. So I'm going to try going for it. And that's kind of what this is. I'm making a cabin. Someday I'd love to do Top Gear style videos. But this is the start. I'm going from here. I'm trying to figure out a place to put this camera down. But yeah, Top Gear recently went to Zimbabwe. I have a buddy Tatenda that's in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a very interesting country. I don't know how much you know about African history, but pretty much every African country that was a colony went into some form of civil war after they got their independence. Rhodesia, which became Zimbabwe, is the exemption, because Rhodesia violently won their independence from the British government, who ran the country basically as kind of a slave state. The natives couldn't even own land, or good land. They'd have to live in, it was based off the reservation system in America, where they'd put them in terrible land that they couldn't feed themselves, so they would have to work in the mines, and in Rhodesia's case, the diamond mines, which I don't know the details, but you can imagine, not very enjoyable. Rhodesia won its independence, did not have a civil war afterwards, because their fight was before. That gives them a bit of stability. Also in the negotiations, I believe a tiny group of white Zimbabweans owned the vast majority of arable land. And that was the underlying theme of the whole war. It wasn't just basic civil rights, it was also like, who owns this country, you know? And they made a deal with Britain to redistribute the land, and Britain would pay for the white British farmers' loss in land, and there would be a transition period between A and B. In the late 90s, I think it was like the day before they were supposed to pay their bill, Tony Blair was like, nope, we're not paying our ancestors' bills, which is really fascinating because, you know, Britain's still forcing countries to pay their, like, Napoleonic war debts. And, their entire economy is based off of forcing other countries to pay debts to them. Just to give you a strategic perspective, they're on an island. Europe fights. They're isolated. They lend money to the European countries fighting. When the war seems to be going close to the end, they get involved and win it for one side or the other and force debt payments on both sides that they lent money to. This has been going on since the Napoleonic Wars, if not earlier. It's related to banking families, the creation of Israel and Palestine, the British Mandate. It has a long history, not just in Europe, but globally. And, you know, Zimbabwe's been facing the repercussions of that ever since. That created, when Tony Blair canceled that debt, if I remember correctly, Zimbabwe started seizing more land from white farmers, which didn't go so well because they had experience and the people taking the farms did not. So the output of farm production plummeted. And then over time, education, social programs, I believe they had China involved, lending them stuff like farm equipment, that kind of stuff to new farmers. Also mining equipment. They get deals on mining equipment. But it was a very rough deal. If you know about Zimbabwe's economic history, when they canceled that debt payment, when Britain did, that made all of Zimbabwe's other debt. Zimbabwe was owed a bunch of money from Britain. They were able to use that debt obligation to get loans from other places. When Britain canceled paying the debt to Zimbabwe, it destroyed their credit rating, interest rates, everything. So suddenly they went from being owed money to now in crazy debt and owing money. And that created the Zimbabwe economic shock. And that's where you can get $1 million bills, $1 billion bills. It's famous for it. The reason I bring this up is Top Gear was a British show, BBC. Jeremy Clarkson left the BBC. He had some type of fight. They, if I remember correctly, Top Gear was the largest show in the world, the most popular show in the world. They were basically paid pennies on a dollar because it was British public broadcasting. They were okay with that, but the people in the TV were kind of, you know, like the Jimmy Fallon, what's his name? Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert. They were kind of that kind of people where they, very negative people. And they started, his own people that worked for his same company started spreading rumors and saying terrible things about him. And I think he punched one of the dudes in the face, possibly on TV or maybe right off camera. I don't totally remember. I'm not British. And that led to Clarkson being fired, which he was like, fine. He went to Amazon along with the other guys. And Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May. James May's Captain Slow. They're all kind of different. Richard Hammond's a younger British guy. I say younger, I think he's 50, but the other guy's like 60, 70. Yeah, and the show's 20 years old, so he was younger when it started. He wants to be an American. He's a shorter dude. He wears cowboy hats sometimes, drives trucks. He's a character. He's funny. He's a real embrace of the Americana. I love that part about him. Captain Slow is an artistic opera type dude who brings a bit of style and class to it and drives slow. That's why they call him Captain Slow. But occasionally, when he wants to, he can actually drive pretty fast. And Jeremy Clarkson is just the epic pinnacle of, you know, your dad hosting a TV show about cars. It's kind of everything you'd want. He's funny. He makes, you know, what would be unclassy jokes today, but they're hilarious and, you know, company and stuff. And he's in the world. He's got a lot of good sayings. He has a very interesting way of speaking that's engaging and draws you into it. He has a lot of credibility, and they have been all over the world. And in this last episode on Amazon, they show the places they've been, and they've literally driven in almost every country in the world, from their different specials. And one of the things he said, and you will see in the last episode, and this is where it's kind of come all full circle, is Zimbabwe, they saved the best for last. They were never able to go to Zimbabwe because of that relationship with Britain and working for the British government. But now they were with Amazon. Amazon obviously has no beef with anybody. They just want money. So Amazon, I'm pretty sure, is in like every country. And they were able to go to Zimbabwe finally. And the footage from Zimbabwe is absolutely breathtaking. I don't think there's any place like it in the world. And they say this also. I mean, don't take my word for it. You know, watch the Top Gear, watch the Grand Tours, what it's called. It's on Amazon Prime if you have it for free. It's the latest episode, season 6. It's the last episode they ever made. And it's unbelievable. There'll be places where it looks like Ireland on one side. It looks like the Great Plains on the other side. They're driving on a ridge. They're in a pine forest 1 hour. The next hour, they're in a jungle, like a real African jungle with the cool tree stuff. The city of Harare, which I've heard from other places. I watched a lot of travel videos when I was injured. Yeah, I don't know why I'm behind the camera. I should be in front talking to you guys. Yeah, the city of Harare is supposed to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And you'll hear that from a lot of different places. Not just Top Gear. And you can see it on there for yourself. It has these amazing boulevards and purple trees. And my buddy Tatenda's from Zimbabwe. I'd like to do something in the future where we're talking. Maybe go over that episode and he can talk about the different places and stuff like that. And there's even some places that they didn't go to, which is cool. That I would, you know, I'd love to check out Zimbabwe sometime. Tatenda's invited me a bunch of times. Very beautiful place. Very interesting place. And I find it ironic that its history, its people, its culture are kind of left out of the modern liberal wokeness of nations. And we still treat them poorly. If I remember correctly, Obama sanctioned them. My buddy Tatenda shared the name of an old guy that was dead, or like had a similar name, and he ended up getting sanctioned from somebody who's been dead for 10 years because he had a similar name. And he's like, wasn't even born when the war happened. He's like 20-something years old at the time. It was a weird situation. But no one talks about that, and they want to be social justice and all these things. I mean, here's a nation that was a slave state, diamond mine state. It was called Rhodesia because it was owned by Cecil Rhodes. And to this day, they've been screwed. If you look at what the State Department's doing to them now, they're trying to use sanctions to impose weird things that are not cultural. They're trying to use it to put cultural issues into Zimbabwe that have nothing to do with Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has problems. Corruption, like every African nation. It's a young country. Without institutions, I mean, America's 200 years old, and look at how our institutions have become corrupted. Corruption is a real global issue right now. But I find it ironic that you know, places will talk about the corruption of Africa and Zimbabwe and these things, and they'll never talk about like Boston or California, where I've been and I have personally witnessed insane things. Monopolies, illegal monopolies are very common in California and Boston. The acquisition of wealth, how you have to give a padded envelope to get something done. A lot of gatekeepers, local power, whatever they call it. I mean, the normalization of it too is unbelievable. Ooh, little wind. But yeah, the normalization of corruption in the States is just wild. At the same time, we're all gonna act like the rest of the world is terrible. I urge you all to take a look at street walk videos of Poland, Ukraine, Czech Republic. Check out these nations that the news will tell you are poor, backwards places. And I will bet you money the cities are cleaner, nicer, safer than any city near you in America. And we subsidize these places. So it's a weird situation. I personally, and this is, you know, I should have done this instead of coming here. I was going to move to Ukraine or Poland or something like that. That was my original intention. And my dad kind of talked me to stay in, and I think, why live someplace where we are poor because we're subsidizing the rest of the world when you could just move there? Everything's cheaper, everything's nicer, and everything's safer, and it's all new. It's developed. It's nice. Have you been on a road in America? Everything's fallen apart, and our systems are wildly corrupt. I'll give you an example. If you watch my videos, you got the forest fires here in California. How many millions or billions of dollars are they spending just this week on forest fires? They're going places, all kinds of places. You know what they're not doing? They're not running a single foot of irrigation line. How many fires you can have in the same exact places over and over and over? At this point, you're better off hiring a landscaping company to put in sprinklers than you are getting the fire department to come through. And it's not a knock on firemen. They just want to put out fires. It's a knock on the management of the firemen. It's extremely poorly managed woods. It's extremely poorly managed fire program. I'm convinced they do what they can to make it as bad as possible so they can get more money, because their decision making is just blatantly nonsensical. And if you think, oh, well, California has bad fires, look up Greece and like the rest of the world. There's other places where the trees are like gasoline. You put a match to them, like, and their fires, their woods don't burn down as much as ours. I don't think any place in the world has this type of maintenance system and would think that it would go differently. It's just us that we go, hey, this isn't working. Let's put more money at it and do the exact same thing. It's a wildly interesting place. And you want to see something else interesting about Cal Fire? Look up the history of Cal Fire and then the history of forest fires. Cal Fire comes along. It restricts timber companies like you wouldn't believe. Timber companies stopped managing the woods. Forest fires basically started. People go, oh, California's always had forest fires. Not like this. You can look it up. There was like a big one in like the 1910s or 20s in like Oregon that was really massive. But not like this. They didn't have this frequency, and people go, oh, global warming. It's global warming ain't making the shrubs. The global warming isn't preventing timber companies from managing woods. This isn't a global warming issue. This is just a blatant corruption and bad decision making issue. And at some point, you know, like this land, the thing with the county, I just don't care anymore. Like I'm not Californian, and you know, I am an American patriot, but what does that even mean anymore? Is America even for Americans? What, should I be the last one on the Titanic trying to save the ship? Like, the people running the ship don't care. They're jumping ship. Why should I stick around? So pretty sure I'm just gonna finish this cabin, put it up for sale, probably cheap, like 40, 50 grand or something is what I'm thinking, and move on. Probably New Mexico, do a video with Baron and maybe my buddy Wayne, and then try to get my buddy Brian out here too. And then I think I'd really like to go to Zimbabwe and see Tatenda. You know, Tatenda makes music. I'd love to do some interviews with him. He's a wildly interesting person. And we're different from very different backgrounds, which makes our conversations pretty interesting. I don't know if anyone else would watch, but I'd enjoy the conversations. And yeah, I'd love to go to there. He's actually a pretty famous musician in his own right. He's done concerts with like Akon and all kinds of people. When he was in America, I think he went to Master P's recording studio or something like that. He doesn't make like rap like you think of it. It's kind of like African, I don't even know how to describe it. tribal hip-hop, I guess, would be what you would describe it as. And the language they speak in Zimbabwe, Shoni, they speak English, but their native language is Shoni. Their tribal language, I believe it's called Shoni. And I lived with those guys for months in America. They, when my buddy got sanctioned for no reason, he couldn't pay his rent because they'd deposit money in his account and it'd be stolen from the government. By the time we'd have to run to the ATM, or we'd be there and they'd deposit, and he'd keep doing it until the money would come in. Because he had minutes, or they'd take the cash because of the sanction thing. And this is like a 20-year-old kid trying to go to college. It was wild. So he ended up living with me for a while, and I was, what do you call it? When you take over someone's lease. I was even like on the paperwork, but he moved in with me, and so did his cousin, and everyone survived. And I ended up housing a couple of my African brethren. And in that time period, when they would speak Shoni around you, you'd kind of pick it up. There's something about that language. It's like a native root language where it's easier for you to understand than most languages. I don't know if it's similar to English or grammatically is, but you start picking up the lingo very quick compared to Spanish, or German's pretty quick to pick up too. Like Spanish, a bit harder. Russian's a bit harder. Asian languages can be, I can't even tell the difference sometimes. But Shoni, I could somehow pick it up really easily. It was interesting to me. I never really understood why. But it'd be fun to go there. It'd be fun to go to Japan, build a samurai house. It'd be fun to go to, you know, Italy, get one of those old Roman ruined houses, build one of those, and hopefully come back to the States and things are chilled out. They've gotten better and some kind of future to raise kids. Or if it hits the fan, I won't be here for it. You know, I don't. At some point, it's like, why be someplace where people don't like you? You know? And I think that's an important lesson for a lot of people, not just me. There's people, you know, I lived in the hood a lot of my life. There's people in the hood where you're never going to get out, and it's not because of you. It's because of the people around who keep pulling you back down and making sure you don't. Every time you get ahead, they're going to ruin your life. Jealousy, envy, greed, call it whatever you want. That's what happens. You know, if I can't do it, you can't do it. And that mentality just wrecks people. You know, check out the Greek islands. You live for pennies on a dollar. It's beautiful. Check out Italy. They got cheap homes. They got great schools. They want you to have kids. Try having kids in America. It's like 100, 200 grand a year, and then everything around it is designed to make the kids sick and mess them up in the head. And if you don't believe me, watch RFK's speech on making America healthy, and it becomes wildly apparent our autism rate, our debilitating disease rate, all this stuff is completely out of control compared to other countries. Like factors of hundreds of % greater. Not like minuscule, oh, it's a little worse. No, it is way worse. And no one's talking about this. And if the guys that do talk about this get discredited in the news and that kind of stuff, so it doesn't lead you to think anything's going to change anytime soon. And even if it does, it'll probably just be temporary, and this is the way the people with money are pushing things. And why would they stop, you know? So I do wish you all the best. I hope you all keep moving forward, keep working on your goals, and don't get dissuaded. And, you know, don't be afraid to fight fire with fire. Don't be afraid to be the unpopular guy. And don't be afraid to dish out what you get. And, if you don't want to get it, don't dish it out. I try to be positive and happy with everybody, but, you know, some people are determined to create problems, and don't be afraid to make problems for them. That's how I see it. Life is, it's what you make of it. And, you know, it sucks being screwed over and bullied. It sucks even more sitting there and taking it. So don't take it. Check this out though, coming along. I'm gonna bring it to that tree and go across. I still gotta trim this down and stack it. This is, I think, the kindling pile we will keep on the side. This is the beginning of the wood pile we will make on the side also. I've been gathering some other dead trees along the road, try to do some fire abatement for the road part at least so I can get in and out better. But yeah, we're gonna stack some wood for when we do have a cabin. It'll go in there, you know, a couple windows, that kind of thing. And we will maneuver our way out. but it's gonna be cool. Yeah. It's amazing to me how easy it is going through this dirt compared to going through that stone. And it looks like to me, if I just go this far from here to that tree, I will only be going through the dirt. And look how much space it has. Isn't that awesome? Here, I'll show you. Look at this. It's like, let's see. 1, 2, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and I got 12 and a half. I'm not sure. I think let's see. So we got 14 steps, a little bit over, probably like 14 and a half. And my feet are, this is a weird thing to measure, your foot. It's easier to measure your shoe, I think. Yeah, just over a foot, like a foot. I got 12 and a half, and my shoe is actually 13 inches. So that's about 14 feet. That's pretty crazy. That's like a little mini yard. Look at this. We're actually making progress. And if you've seen this from the start, you know, I was basically on the edge of a hill. Yeah, about 14 feet. That is cool. 14 feet, 8 inches. Oh, I can even go more. Let's see. Oh no, it was 14 feet. I was reading the 13. So it's about 14 feet, 8 inches. About that. That's pretty cool. Quite a bit of space. Barely any excavation too, because I'm just doing a couple feet over. And I've already taken so much of this, what is he calling it? Granulated, or decomposed granite, I think is what this guy was calling it. Which is an interesting term. Yeah, that's what this stuff is that just breaks up. This stuff, one wheelbarrow scooped out would be 3 wheelbarrows full because it was just so compressed. Whereas this stuff's light and fluffy, digs through pretty easy. The roots are a pain. You can't even tell I took out like 5 roots right here. Gotta take out a bunch of them while doing this. But yeah, it's looking sweet. And I'll show you what I mean here. Look at this. You can have this walkway coming down right here. I think I'm gonna put some steps right here out of stone, concrete, and dirt. And we got this thing. Maybe before I leave, you know, if I'm trying to sell it, I will do stained glass window here, in here, something like that. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I love this look. It looks really cool when you're coming down, you know. Or even put like a light in it with a stained glass could be interesting. I don't know. Keep it no matter what. I like how it looks. Excavate this more. Come along, sweet. Hi, Pinkie Pie. So yeah, thanks for joining me. And I know it's probably not what you'd expect in a cabin build video, but this is kind of my channel. It's not just about cabin building, it's about my life, which definitely isn't niching down or whatever, but I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to have my whole videos be about notches and building stuff. And if that's what you want, there's better people out there for that, to be honest with you. Like, I watch Bush Radical, I watch The Modern Escapist, I watch The Bearded Carpenter. I watch other people too, but those are probably some of the best ones for teaching you how to do it. And they got years of experience, you know, some of them 10, 20 cabins in. Hand-built homes with Noah Bradley. Great informative series. He's trying to sell a series. He's trying to, so he doesn't give you all the information. But if you have a certain foundation of working on old houses, he gives you a lot of interesting perspectives on how he's been doing it. And what I mean by that is, in Boston, I worked on a lot of 100, 200-year-old homes that were hand-built homes. But I'm renovating them. Noah Bradley's been making them brand new for a while. And that is pretty cool. That gives him a perspective on why something's designed a certain way that I never had to deal with when renovating, so I've never thought of. And he's got a... That's the mama bear. Stop, please stop. I have such a headache from you guys barking. It's not even funny. It's been going on for like 20 minutes now. The babies went to the right, but the mama's going to the left. The babies are hard to see because it's so shallow. But you can check out my shorts and see more of the mama bear and her cubs. Her cubs are like right there. The mama's like right there. But they're hard to see. Stop, 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 stop. Just shut up. Like, so much barking. At this point, they don't care anymore. Like, you've barked so much, it's no longer a warning. They don't even care. Like, it's lost all value. There it is. It's a baby. I can't zoom at this. I just saw it move to the right there. See that branch moving? There's these like red berries. And I think there's wild blueberries around here too. You see that? There's a baby. Looking right at us. It's okay. Just don't cross the water. Stop, Flutie. There's two baby cubs, and there's the mama bear. There they go. See him? Flutie. Stop. 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 Sit. Stop. Yeah, I don't mind the barking at first, but it's seriously been going on for like an hour. And it's getting to the point where I'm about to feed you to the bear, dude. Shut up! Shut up! Like, shut up, Flutie. He is an idiot, but it is extra worse right now. So there goes one of them. Where'd the other little baby go? They're about to go after my neighbor's chickens. There's the other baby. See it? Look, it's so tiny and cute. Oh, it's so tiny and cute. Stop. Stop. It's scared, obviously, of the boys. It's like jumping along when they bark. It's okay, little baby. Stop. 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 So now I know what that noise was. It was the baby bears. I thought it sounded like a baby person or like a cat or something. I couldn't tell. Or a dog. But it was the baby bears. So Mama's already down the creek some. Should probably get a sign to warn people, but it is what it is. I mean, the sheriff's people know. And the bear is not really, I mean, that's a problem. You spook that mama and those cubs, she's gonna get you. She's gonna roll you. She might gut you. And she'll, she probably won't kill you on purpose, but she'll mess you up till you stop moving. Just because you get too close to those cubs. She's not really the problem, unless you stumble into her. But the mountain lion that lives down there, that's the problem. The mountain lion baby. I don't know which group was fighting which last night, but there's definitely a mountain lion that lives down there. And this bear lives up there or over there. I can't tell which. There's a cinnamon one that lives that way. I think that must be the boy. And this is the lady one with the cubs that lives that way. It's more black. Yeah, they don't call it bear country. I think it's Little Bear Creek next to the next creek over. This one's Fern Creek. I wonder if you can make it out through the bushes like I can. Little baby. Can't really see it too much anymore though. I could go clear some trees in the future and make it so it's easier to spot, which might add some value for home sale and rental. Well, possibility for the future. Oh yeah, and something cool today. I went to the store. I know, Foodie. You're finally being good. Oh yes, we're finally done barking. It's honestly been like hours. There's a bunch of berries over there. They just want to eat the berries and work their way down the berries. And they get real scared around here because the boys won't stop barking. So they go wide and they kind of miss this section of berries. Well, they eat the berries over there and they come eat the berries over here. And that's what they're doing right now. But you guys, you little instigator. So today I went to the store and there was a pregnant lady with some kids, and she couldn't carry her groceries, so I carried them to the store. I carried them to the car, and while I carried them to the car, some pretty lady bought all my food, which was super cool. So I came back and I told them I got a YouTube channel, but we'll see what happens. If they end up subscribing and watching, I imagine they'll say something. I didn't get their name, but thank you. I appreciate it. That was very kind. And I just ate my potato salad and my chicken salad sandwiches. And temperature's starting to drop in these parts. I don't know what it is now, but it's not the 80, 90 I just started getting used to. I think it's like 70 in the shade or something. Maybe in the 60s even. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm getting cold, so I'm gonna put on a sweater. I'm gonna go back to digging. Check it out. Making progress. I could also switch to chainsaw mode and cut stuff up, but I don't want to spook them. They've had enough trauma with the dog barking at them constantly, and you don't really want to spook the mama bear too much. I'm not trying to kill a mama bear with cubs too. That's messed up. Who's gonna raise the cubs? Me? Like, I don't want to be in that position. And that big boy cinnamon bear though, he's a little bigger. I don't know where he went. You can tell Mama's a different color dark. It's about over there right now. Saw a little head movement. Yeah, they're awfully cute, aren't they? And they just want to eat and be left alone and not really be a part of what we're doing, which is fine by me. But I do feel bad. We're definitely pushed it into its area. It used to live up there and to the right, and now I think it lives over there. There's something about when that thing comes out too, the flies come out, I swear. It's been like mosquito madness for the last hour. And if you look now, there's not many. There's like 2 left, 3 left. I think it just smells so much. It's got like a cloud of bugs following it. I don't see him, buddy. Yeah, I hope you got some decent footage of it, and everyone has a great day. Keep working towards your goal. Don't let people get you down. You know, life is good. Life is good. Next step, we gotta start pulling some trees. Pretty exciting. Pretty exciting, puppy, huh? Finish digging this and then pulling some trees. Yeah, my camera died earlier, but wanted to make sure, keep telling you guys about kind of what to do if you're ever in a position like I am, where you have a neighbor, someone trying to bully you and stuff like that, and how to deal with them. So this doesn't just work for this instance, but all people in general. Find out what motivates them. You know, like, this is all about parking. So I'm gonna make sure it's impossible for him to park. And not because I'm some malicious asshole, because that's the rules. He built a house with no setback. He has to deal with those consequences, whether that involves tearing down half his house, moving his house, buying the land across the street to move the road. Doesn't matter, the rules are the rules. He wanted to play code boss, so we can play by the codes. If I thought his motivation was people, I'd invite every person I know down here every night of the week, every weekend. Free camping, come hang out with me. Put the address on Facebook. There's a lot of ways to deal with it. But you find out what motivates people and you squeeze. They want to bully you, they want to be an asshole. Don't be afraid to be a bigger asshole. Follow the rules. Set them up to make fools of themselves, to threaten you, to do something illegal. Most people are simple-minded fools. This is a good example. Bigoted, tiny-minded, scared of people doing things they can't do. And you have to learn how to deal with that. Sometimes, some countries, corruption is bad. And there might not really be a way to deal with it. But in an authoritarian left-wing state like California, or similar places, they have a lot of rules. Learn the rules, guys. Learn litigation. Learn contract law. Understand legalese. You can take classes in college. You can probably find stuff on the internet. Corsica is a great reference to high-end school. I've taken Wharton School of Business classes at Corsica that are very good. If you're looking for the best marketing course I've ever seen, check out Sticky Ideas on Corsica from Wharton School of Business. That's a great one. But legal writing, contract law, there's people whose whole lives specialize in that. And if you learn from them, you're going to get some real shortcuts. Legislative law. Legislative law, that's a whole thing in and of itself. And it's obscure. That probably took me a solid year just to really perfect. And I ended up writing legislation. If you know my past, I wrote legislation for a couple states that got enacted. Yeah, learn the law. Learn to play the game. You're not going to fight the system and win. It's never going to happen. You can use the system to fight for you. That'll happen all day long. And most people, NIMBY, small-minded folks, they don't know what they're doing. Not only throwing rocks in glass houses, but they prejudge. They don't know up from down. A lot of sad but true. This works with the county and inspectors too. People won't know a post from a beam. There's a reason most inspectors just take a padded envelope and go away. It's not a, there's also a reason why private home inspection finds a bunch of stuff wrong, but it's up to code. You know, the amount of stuff up to code in this state that is not up to code is probably 50% just out of the stuff I've seen. You know, I've seen a ton of hodgepodge designs in California, and not just in the desert, but go to Redondo Beach. Check out Venice Beach. You know, Edward Norton sold a shack, like a shack, for $8 million when I was living down the street from them. It was, there's some wild stuff there. It's a weird state. Massachusetts, things might have changed now. I know a lot of states are going through hard times and being pretty corrupt, and it trickles downhill, but the Massachusetts I grew up in, certain towns, the inspectors knew their jobs, and they were not taking envelopes, and you were not getting away with anything, and they were going to bust your balls, and it is what it was, and you knew how to do your job, or you had to redo part of your job, and that was kind of their specialty. Then you go to other counties, and the guy only has the job because he's related to somebody, and he says things that are nonsensical. You kind of go, yeah, and ride it out, and normally just end up kind of giving the guy an envelope and getting him to go away, because even the stuff he's saying doesn't make any sense. I get the impression, small time dealing with code enforcement here that I have, that's how it is here. San Bernardino County is a big state. The building code law is more complicated than most states, especially when you consider earthquake code and that kind of stuff. Very few contractors even grasp all of it. They tend to specialize. Never mind the lower paid county inspector somehow grasping all of it. Not happening. And they say stuff to me that's not, they've said stuff to me that makes no sense. They've literally typed stuff to me, and then I've like typed it back to them, and it's be like, you know? So yeah, that's part of life. You roll with the punches, but don't be a slouch, and don't take it hanging down. You know, don't take it sitting down. Never be afraid to get knocked down. Be afraid to get back up, and things get better. They move on. People will learn, or they don't. You come back and you try again. But dedication tends to overcome all. Dedication, goodwill, solid plan, you can pretty much overcome anything. And learn from my mistake. Get everything in writing from day one, so there's no problems. Yeah, right now I'm dealing with, I got 2 different emails from one person from the county saying contradictory things. In one of their emails, they say I have recreational use on my property. And then an email later, they do not mention it. So I bring it up. And they respond with, you don't have recreational use on your property. And when I ask about it or look into it, I just kind of get stonewalled. So I think it might be time to go up a level. And that's something else too. When you have a bloated bureaucracy, figure out the chain of command. Everyone has a chain of command. Who's in charge? Who's running this? Find that out, and you might actually start making some progress. And do what I do, raise a stink. You know, like at this point, even if they win, they lost. You know, like there's really nothing. Whatever they think they're costing me, I've already cost them 5-6 times that. So, like 5-6 times what I've paid so far for my land and everything. So I'm not too concerned, you know. Worst case, they'll come do their fire abatement and improve the value of my land even more. And probably fix the road and probably deal with the neighbor. And I almost feel bad for that neighbor, but I gave him a chance. I even told him I'm very litigious. I was thinking about suing him originally, you know, but it costs money, it takes time, and it's personal, it's civil. I don't care. And who cares what I think? No one cares. Let's sick some people on him that have some authority. That's a way better way of dealing with it. So, look at his property. Find out who called him in on you. That's the other one too. You got a right to know your accuser. Find out who called it in on you. Go from there. Things get better. Keep on trucking on. Right in my way, Jack Jack. Move, buddy. I love you too. Jack Jack likes sitting right behind me when I work, or right in front of me. And I've been working my back in that direction, shoveling this way. Which is why he keeps trying to get over there. It's not rocks that's slowing me down right now. We're just basically a nice soft soil, a loom as they call it. Very easy to go through. But it's the roots. The roots. My brother. The roots are slowing us down. And I hope you get a chance to check out my shorts, because we got a whole bear family living across there. Puts things into perspective just how lucky that guy was, huh? It also puts things into more perspective about why I was so bummed about the deputies not following me across the creek to get that guy. But they weren't dressed for it, equipped for it, or really ready for it. They're city folk from down the hill. I don't blame them. It's I grew up in the city. My first time in the woods was pretty scary too. You know, especially when you get to real woods, it's not tamed. And that's where we are here. The dirt dumping's coming along, but we'll run out of dirt. Which is okay, we're gonna get as far as we get. The big thing is the excavation, not the planting. In the future, I can always pull more dirt from somewhere to plant more there, but it's really about the excavation here. Look at that root, huh? Saw what I did there. You cut it up a bit, you get it loose, and you twist it. Twist, 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 until it snaps like that. Coming along. I gotta figure out this one at some point. Might as well just try to do it now. If you don't bite it with the shovel, you gotta spin a little more. It has a lot more torque to it and resistance. That shovel kind of makes a cut that makes a place for it to snap. Whereas twisting without it like this, you'll see, doesn't really seem to do so much. And then all of a sudden it will. Here we go. Ta-da! It's all about that torque on the twist. If you really want to get it loose. Loose, loose. Flutie digging to help. Yes, you're a helpful dog. That's where I needed you. The end of the hole, right in the way. Maybe I should switch into chainsaw mode and cut up some of this brush into smaller pieces, since we're gonna have some doggy obstructions going on here. Dun, dun, dun. Baby. Oh, look at that lean in the camera. What is up with that? So annoying. Check it out. Been getting a lot of digging done, and somebody's gonna go poop. Yeah, Flutie's right in my way. Check it out. A lot more digging done. This is all the brush I gotta cut up. I could dump it. That is an option. I'm gonna cut more stuff there too. Make a nice wide opening. And yeah, things are gonna go well. Sorry, look at how much space it is. It's amazing, night and day from when I came here. What a difference. That's what 50 days of hand digging will do, huh, buddy? Are you stuck, Jack? Little gremlin. Yeah, your little leash got caught. There you go. Isn't this cool? Cut in some steps or something. I'm thinking like, maybe sideways, or it could just go straight down. But this whole spot around here, clear out and make nice and flat. I gotta get rid of these roots down bottom. Look at that bad Larry. That's a big one. Even once that part's off, this is huge. Huge. I'm gonna figure that out. Probably have to dig down a foot just to get rid of that root. Same with a bunch of these. That's why I stopped going this way. Look at them all. Roots, 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 roots. And I'm gonna get everything in between that tree and this fallen tree kind of excavated out. And more roots, more roots, more roots, more roots. And there's some right here still. Yeah. That's the only part slowing me down. Everything else is going pretty smooth. You know, another day, maybe two. You can see the progress. It's cruising through this dirt stuff. And check out this spot. Kind of cool. Got a little walkout spot. So if you haven't seen all my shorts, we got the cinnamon bear that goes that way. That's the boy. And then we got the black bear and the cubs that tend to go back and forth every day. And they're getting pretty cute. It's a mama bear and two cubs, and the cubs are like the size of Flutie, one of my puppies, and they're bouncing around. They're scared of the dogs. The dogs got to start barking so much. Like, I get it, they're there. but they bark so much. It's now had the point where the bear does not care. It's just used to it, which is not good. They have to stop barking. I need to get shock collars or something, you know, bark collars, something like that. Also, look at that. Looks like another tree came down. Just kind of noticing that now. I swear there was more trees there. More dead trees. You can see something falling over. That huge leaning tower one though, still up. Still up. Really waiting for this one to go and for that big tall white leaning tower one back there to go. Those ones are leaning the most. That's gonna be wild when it goes, but not happening anytime soon, because that dead tree at this point is getting a living tree growing around it, which is pretty weird, but seems common around here actually if you look around. Yeah, it's coming along real good. Look at that. I wonder if that's the road up there. Never been able to stand this far out, so I couldn't look back, but yeah, you see that up there? I think that line going across is the road, and that's just grass below it. Pretty cool. Really coming along. Very exciting. Check it out! Look how much digging is done. Bam, 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 bam. Almost to the tree. I'm more than halfway. This is super cool. Oh, this thing's leaning again. Something's up my gimbal. Gotta stop leaning, gimbal. Check it out. Whoop. And now it's leaning the other way. What is up with this gimbal? I think my gimbal's breaking. Yeah, pretty cool. Walk around the tree going. This thing's gonna be brutal. It's a tree.